What if leading your team could unlock 20K worth of raises? I'm David Bennett, and I've used my 10,000 plus hours of management and leadership experience to do just that, growing my salary by 20K by building a high performing team. And in this video, I'm going to reveal the 5 strategies that I use to do that. And what's amazing about them is they can be used in any industry, any role, and they work. Doesn't matter where they are. And stick around till the end because most leaders that I see miss at least 3 out of these 5. But why should you care? Why is this so important? And it's because pay and performance are so tightly linked. Like you can see it even in sports is a great example. Look at players like Cristiano Ronaldo in football and LeBron James in basketball. They're the best players. They get the most money. And it's the same in any job. If you perform the best, you're going to get the promotions. You're going to get the highest pay. That's the way it works. Think about the CEO. Who gets paid the most? The CEO. Who and think about it the other way around. Imagine you are performing really badly, or you have someone in your team performing really badly. Are you going to give them more money, or are you going to give them a promotion? No, you're not. They might even end up leaving the business. So it's clear that performance and pay are so tightly linked. And this specific video is about management and leadership because that's where most of the pay related to performance is living. And as you start to cap out on your individual contributor level of pay, you're going to want to be looking at those management and leadership positions because that's where most of the pay is as you start to grow and develop. So it's critical to master management and leadership. That's why I made this video. And if you think about management and leadership, it's a hard skill. It's a human skill, requires a lot of different moving pieces to run a high performance team. So it's difficult to do. And good managers and leaders are in short supply. So you get more money because it's harder to find good managers and leaders. So if you do a great job of it, you're going to open up the possibility of bigger raises and better promotions. So it's a great thing to go after. And a final thing, which is a hot topic at the moment, consistently ranking as the top job that will not be replaced by AI is management and leadership because it's so human, it's so hard and general. It's so hard for an AI to replace. Humans want to interact by humans. Nobody wants to be managed by a computer. So it is a super defensible skill too. So it unlocks the top pay and it's super defensible. But let's dive in. I know that it's not easy and it is hard, like I just mentioned. But I remember when I first realized that the highest paid jobs were those management and leadership positions. I was watching my dad as he led his company, and I could see him leading a team of over 100 people. I could see how hard it was. I could see why it was such a valuable skill. But I questioned myself back then. I was 16. Could I do that? Could I really do that? Stand in front of 100 people, lead a business? I don't know. I'm certainly not there yet, but hopefully I'm on that trajectory. So I was watching him and I was still doubting whether I could even get to like 30 or 40K, let alone 80K. So if you are somewhere like that, if you don't already have a management gig or a team, I get it. You've got to keep trying, keep pushing because you will get it eventually. And it is that route to those really high salaries. And that's how I got to my current salary, which is 80K. But when I did finally manage to get that management gig for the first time, it just accelerated my progress. It unlocked the speed of development that has taken me from 30 to 40 to 80K in the last 5 years. So it is such an important part of quick growth and quick salary growth. So what did I learn in those 10,000 plus hours of management and leadership over the last 5 years or so? Let's jump in and have a look, and I'll talk you through these top 5 strategies. So what's the first one? The foundation of any great team is clear, ambitious goals that are linked to the company strategy. So set clear, ambitious goals, link them to the company strategy. Like I figured that out pretty quick. When I didn't set goals, performance slipped, less accountability, less is delivered. When you set goals, usually people stick to those goals and they deliver them. So the skill and the art is to set the right number of goals so that they're achievable, but they're also stretching and they push each person and the team to their limit. So the goals are absolutely critical to team success and they're foundational. Without them, people are pulling in different directions, they don't have accountability. So they're super, super critical of the foundation. So that's number one. Set goals, set clear, ambitious goals that are linked to company strategy. What's number two? You can't have a great team without great people. So strategy number two is to hire passionate, high-performing people who are going to own their work. So you want self-starters, you want people who are passionate, who care about the company, you want people who are going to work extremely hard, who have integrity. And as I started to take control of my team a bit more and of the hiring, I realized that actually that I think, in my opinion, this is the most, and in my experience, what I've seen, that this is the most important part of building a high performance team, because you can't change someone's personality. You can't change someone's integrity. You can't change someone's intelligence. Those things are like hardwired. They've happened before, and you can't go back and reroute that. So you can improve their skills, but there are certain things for certain roles where there's going to be a block there. So you've got to hire the right person for the role. If you need someone who's really smart, because it's a really hard job, then you're going to have to test for that in the hiring process. My top tip here is to not rush your hiring process. Make sure that you design a rigorous hiring process that tests for everything that you need to see. And do not make a compromise. Don't hire someone unless they pass every single one of your checks that you set up before you started the hiring process. So, and also another thing that I've seen happen is recruiters can pressure you to hire someone because they get paid if you hire someone. So do not allow yourself to be pressured either. I've seen that happen to me. So that's number two. We've got clear, ambitious goals. We've got great people. What are we going to do next? And how are we going to make sure these people keep performing and that they keep growing as well? That's where team culture come in. So strategy number three is to foster a high energy culture of growth and also of action and friendship. So why do I say those things specifically? As I started to build a team of high performers, I started to realize that performance could easily start to slip unless there was a strong culture within the team of growth. And one of my favorite quotes by a guy called David Goggins, you might have heard of him, is if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So you need your culture to, and I think that's very true, and you need your culture to build up your team around so that they are getting better and so that they're not stagnating or getting worse in this case. And I started to realize that after I started to get a bit of a bigger team. And so I thought a bit deeper and deeper about culture. And over time, I've realized that energy is absolutely critical to culture. You need your team to have high enthusiastic energy. Low energy teams are low performing teams. They're not engaged with their work. They don't perform. They're not bought in. High energy teams, passionate teams are bought in. They care about their work. They care about their results. So the energy level is absolutely key. And you can set an example with that. And you can also build it into the rhythms of what you do as your team. But you're going to need short, snappy touch points through your week. You're going to need socials. You're going to need time, FaceTime together. You're going to need team building, trust building. All of these things bring you together. And eventually, if you form a great culture, you do become friends. And friends have each other's back. They work harder for each other. And a great example of when a culture has really taken off is when you have people meeting up outside of work because they've become friends. So that's the third one. Strategy three is build that high energy culture. So we've got great people, we've got clear goals, and we've got a great culture, which is steering us on a trajectory of growth. What else are we going to need? How are we going to know if we're focused on the right things or not? How are we going to know if things are going off track? Because they might do. It might not be our fault, but they might go off track. So the fourth strategy is to use data and reporting to focus the team on what matters most. So a shared understanding of measurement and targets is the only way to know if you've achieved your goals and if something's gone off track. Data is absolutely critical. It's everywhere in today's society. The hard part with data now is focusing on the right things because there's so much of it. So cutting through the noise is difficult, but the data is absolutely crucial. When it comes to goals, I've used the OKR framework. I'll put that in the description. It's a Google framework. Works really well. It means objective and key result. The objective is the goal from the strategy one. The key result is the data. That's what tells you if you've achieved your goal. You don't know if you've achieved it without the data. So you need it. You need to be able to know if you've achieved it. So then you can decide what to do next to make a good decision. And then you can start to work out maybe why you achieved it or why you didn't. And you can implement those strategies across your work. So data on goals, OKRs is key. And then what I also do is, which works extremely well, is run a really snappy reporting session, no more than 20 minutes every week, and one slide per area, or usually per person or per area, depends how many areas and people you have, and a few metrics on each slide that tell us that it's in a hyper actionable way what of our business as usual processes are going off track. If they're not off track, quick, move on, snappy. If something is off track, quick discussion, what's the action? And the metrics should be very, very actionable. And that works extremely well to allow us to focus on goals, but without being being able to jump back to the BAU stuff at the right times when they are going off track. So that works super effectively on the data side, and the data is critical. So we've got 4 of those strategies now. So what's the last one? This is one that lots of teams really struggle with, but it's absolutely critical. We've got great data, we've got great people, we've got really, really clear goals, and we've got a really healthy culture. What does that allow us to do now, and how can we multiply our impact? So the last strategy, the 5th strategy, is to create a healthy environment of conflict. And you can only do this once you've created trust in your team. And it was the last thing that I learned, but it's very, very important, because without healthy conflict, you've basically got a team of yes men. You don't have the full value of your team because they're not giving their opinions, and they're not giving their, even if it's not an opinion, a lot of people won't even tell you something that they absolutely know to be true because they're too scared of conflict. So building that conflict and trust is absolutely critical in your team. Plus, constructive criticism is absolutely key to growth too. So if you can't give constructive criticism without some level of resilience in your team to that challenge and that conflict, then you're going to stop your team and yourself from growing as quickly as you can do, and it's not going to be a high performing team. So that last one, absolutely critical. And what I say is that you can build the trust. Yeah, I suppose there are a few things that rest on that. One is trust that I mentioned. The other is respect. So you gain respect by doing a great job and treating people well. That's everyone in the team is responsible for doing that, but you can set a good example yourself. And then the last one, which is a really, really important one, is positive feedback. If you're only giving constructive feedback, it lands really hard and it's difficult to take because you're like, well, do I do anything right? So it's really, really important to give lots of positive feedback. And the positive feedback, this is really important to hear, should be extremely specific. It should show that you paid attention. You didn't just say, oh, good job. It's kind of meaningless. You've not really thought about it. Look at what the person did. Give positive feedback that is extremely specific to what they did. And then guess what will happen? They'll do that thing again. So it helps you and it helps them and it feels good and it allows you to give that constructive feedback. So yeah, that's the last one. Create an environment of healthy conflict. So those are the most important 5 strategies that I found in building a high performing team. And that's what unlocked that 20K in raises that I added to my salary. So try focusing one of the 5 yourself and let me know how it goes. Leave a comment, maybe what's your greatest challenge right now, or have a go at developing one of those areas and let me know how it changes your team. And I would expect it will really make you stand out and really multiply your performance. So I'd love to hear it if it does that. Leave a comment, I always reply. And also, if you're keen to hear more, then subscribe if you like the content. I have a lot of other videos on how to turn that performance into a higher salary. It doesn't just happen overnight. Usually you build your performance and then you've got to take a few more steps like negotiating to get a higher salary, but performance is the foundation. And then finally, I also have a weekly newsletter, which is exclusive to subscribers, where I share other different tools and strategies to help you grow your salary. So please sign up to that. Links in the description if you're keen for more. Thanks.